is this group of folks who all contribute their various talents to making sure that a manufacturer that wants to get on board the Helium network meets all the requirements and kind of has a good understanding of what's going on. In the early days before kind of Helium was a big thing, it was just like, hey, let's get folks in here and make sure that everybody can play. And then as we saw that, some of the requirements were too much for manufacturers. And then in a very few cases, there is some institutional gaming. And in a lot of the cases we see, it's just Helium is such a technical and kind of widespread thing that there are lots of aspects that a kind of regular manufacturer who hasn't done blockchain stuff before or hasn't participated in these kind of communities before may not know. And so we do a little bit of hand-holding, a little bit of guiding, a little bit of rule enforcing, and the combination of those is the MCC's job. So
Nice. Is there any, I just don't know. Is there anything that like you've had to enforce recently that you're able to tell us about? Or like what's been, some of the outcomes of the last month, 2 months, 3 months, anything to report on?
I mean, in general, most of the technical stuff is A, beyond my ability to explain really well, and B, it's so dang boring that unless you're a super technical person, it will just sound like I'm speaking a language you don't understand. So in really detailed terms, no. In general terms, yes, there's been a couple manufacturers who have applied, who we've denied for various reasons, all good reasons, or at least what we think are good. And the mission has really evolved from kind of getting as many manufacturers as we could in to starting to really tighten down that net and making sure that the manufacturers that come in have a great understanding and are capable of contributing to the network and not just kind of participating at a lower level. So I think that's, at least from my perspective, and I guess I speak a little bit on behalf of the HIP, although I'm only one small part of it, is that's where we're pushing to, is making sure that this is a really contributing body to the network and not just kind of a gateway that potential manufacturers might pass through.
Yeah, nice. That was a great overview. Is
Hey,
there
Valerie,
Oh,
can I
go
just
ahead.
chime in if that's okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that just to kind of, yes, and to next comment, I think that the feedback I've gotten from some other folks in the MCC is really, I think long-term alignment is very much key here, where, flashback to almost a year at this point, it was really making sure there was enough supply out for the demand in the market. Now we're thinking really about the growth side of the network. So working with providers and manufacturers who also are helping us to think about, how do we get more devices in the network? How do we start to think about, kits, plug and play, solutions in the network. So rather than just thinking about how we're kind of expanding on coverage, it's really, the holistic approach of who are the right types of partners that are definitely long-term aligned, have skin in the game, and can help us thinking about really serving both sides of the network. So I'm really happy with the progress that the MCC has made in terms of rethinking the criteria overall, and really thinking about different areas where we can professionalize, and some areas that we were really starting with, V1 onboarding process, and that has certainly matured a lot over several months. So certainly a lot of kudos to Nick, Jeremy, I know who's in here, Brad, Patrick, Philippe. I think it's just been an absolutely fantastic group as far as what we've done over what we've seen that group do over the last year. And as Nick said, looking for new members, want to continue to have fresh perspectives, continue to elevate what's already been a good process, but always things can be better. We want to make sure we're optimizing for large commercial and enterprise deployments. So we've got to make sure we have the folks to support that. So I just want to add my 2 cents there, but thank you, Nick.
Yeah, thanks for chucking that in there. Valerie, I got something else that is not MCC stuff. I think that's all the MCC news we had. Do you mind if I throw this next piece out there?
Can I ask one more question about MCC?
Shoot.
If people want to become members, how should they try to become members in the MCC? Where should people reach out to?
Yeah, I'd jump over into the Helium Foundation Discord and start there. I want to say we have links right there. Geez, this has been one of the things that we've been working on, is like it's kind of scattered everywhere, but that's the best place to start. And then if you have problems, you can always DM me and I'll just point you straight to the link if we don't have it in a really obvious place over on the Helium Foundation Discord.
Okay, awesome. So reach out to Helium Foundation Discord or Grizzle Cave. That sounds good.
Yep. Yeah, and you certainly don't need to reach out to me, but I'm always happy to help where I can. So it's not like I'm the gatekeeper for the for the FCC. There are many paths to that.
But yeah,
Cool.
Nick, go ahead. What else did you want to talk about?
Dig it. So the next thing I got is, oh, Scott, go
Sorry.
ahead.
Sorry about that. Sorry to cut you off. I just want to say Christina actually just put in the application link for new MCC members. That is in the community call chat. So for anybody who's looking to apply, get involved with that committee, you can actually see that right in community call chat from Christina.
Rushing. Thanks, Christina. Thanks for making sure all the things are working over there. Next thing I've got is actually something that Scott and I had come up with after the New York Helium House is this Helium in the Wild tour. So one thing we saw is that Helium is can be more represented over in Europe and really push into the IoT side. And so what Helium Foundation is doing is having me go over to a bunch of cities in Europe and just walking through and meeting folks there, bringing the community together there and showing them how to use Helium and various aspects of it. So there's 4 stops. There's one in Lisbon with Solana Breakpoint, where we're going to be using Helium, using Hotspotty's kind of back-end mapping to do a really fun mapping game. So you can bring your mapper, you show up, we'll have mappers from Rack Wireless, and we'll just map stuff around the city. So it'll be like, hey, go find this castle or go find this other location, or go find this hotspot and get a certain minimum RSSI and then come back, and you got 4 hours to do the whole thing. A little bit of a contest, a little bit of a race, but really kind of using Helium in the real world out in the wild. And then getting to meet other people. And then the rest of the Solana Breakpoint piece is just about finding folks in the Solana ecosystem and seeing how are they going to work with Helium and what does it really enable. So building on the AMAs that are going on in other channels, but just making sure it's kind of a real people to people connection. Next event will be up in London. We're running a really cool event up there at the Royal Society for Arts House, the RSA House. It'll be an all-day event, and we'll be doing some presentations on Helium, and really that'll focus on how to use IoT as a business. So we got Bill Klee from Novacine coming down and talking about the IoT business that he built. And business management systems. We're looking to get a couple other folks out there to present as well and have a panel. And then we'll run another of the mapping events. The mapping events are called Here Be Dragons, just a kind of fun off the map thing. After that, we'll be going to Paris, running a short meetup in one of the mornings. So all this starts November 3rd, I think, and then finishes November 18th. And then cruising down to talk with Paul, aka Disc 91, who a lot of you have kind of learned from as we've gone through the Helium journey, especially on the technical side. He's going to be walking me through working in LNS and what it means to kind of work the back end of a LoRaWAN based business. So getting some technical insight right there. And then finishing up in Barcelona with the Smart Cities conference that's going on, I want to say 15th through the 17th, maybe 15th through 18th of November, talking to folks who are using IoT and who may or may not know about Helium, getting together with whoever and kind of connecting in with his TTN folks and really kind of expand the awareness of Helium throughout the European community and putting into sharing as much information as we can across the space. So that's the Helium in the Wild tour. If you want to learn more about it, you can go to the Gristle King blog and look for Helium in the Wild, or you can just Google Gristle King Helium in the Wild. All that stuff is being done on behalf of the Helium Foundation.
Wow.
That's what I got.
That is so great, Nick. I wrote most of what you said down, but you had a lot of dates in different locations. How do we follow you through that tour? Is Twitter the best thing? Do you have something online that we can just like, date by date, location by location? How do we best follow it?
Yeah, best overview kind of following to see the schedule will just be the blog post, the Helium in the Wild blog post. And then day by day, we'll be doing Twitter, Instagram, maybe Twitch, and then YouTube. So kind of trying to meet folks where they are. We'll be streaming some stuff. A lot of it will be recorded for a follow-on kind of 5-part series that we're going to be doing. So we'll be releasing that on YouTube after the tour is done. But for kind of day-to-day stuff, Twitter and or the blog post will be the best places to check in and see what's going on. And those update almost daily right now because things are changing so much. Super fun.
Awesome. That sounds like an awesome trip. Super cool.
Yeah, I'm psyched to see some of the folks on this call there. BFG Neil, we get to see him again and hang out in London, hang out in all these places and spread the good word.
Nice. Cool. Well, that's actually a good segue into Joey's going to talk about, which is another event ongoing in Europe and during the Solana Breakpoint. So, Joey, do you want to tell the community about
It's actually a terrible segue. Nick just like stole my thunder on all of that.
Well, we have a lot
yeah,
going
super
on.
excited. Yeah,
Now
no,
you got your
there's
special
tons of
event, dude.
stuff.
You're gonna crush.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, Helium team, you can find a bunch of us out at Breakpoint, which is going to be super exciting. It's going to start tying together the Helium community with the Solana community. We've already seen a ton of cool interest coming in from like Solana folks that maybe had heard of Helium before, and they're starting to like put it into their distributed apps and all sorts of other like cool stuff. The big thing that I get to talk about is the Helium train, which is going to be a hackathon on a literal train going through Portugal. And then it's going to go to this town. We're going to have some talks. We're going to bring people from the community. Oh my God, Neil. So super excited about that. We priced it to be basically just expensive enough to hopefully not have people just like buy all the tickets and not show up kind of thing. So it's like $10 right now if you want to participate in that. If you are in anywhere near Lisbon or Europe, like and able to sort of get over there, I'd highly recommend it. I think it's going to be a super fun event. And I'll drop that link in the community chat. That's all from me. Oh, I have to plug this. All of this came from Jose from Rack. This was his idea, and he's been a huge, huge, huge help in helping organize this whole event. It made it really easy for Foundation to sort of get involved and bring in a bunch of other parties from the ecosystem. So thank you
Nice.
again.
Can I ask you a few questions about it, Joey, too? Where is the train going? If people show up, do we need to bring anything? Like,
Yeah,
does
so
the link say all
the
that?
the train, the train will there's a landing page on the Helium site. You can kind of get all the details in there, and that's in the event link. But it's going to take off. Trains don't take off. It's going to depart from Lisbon, and then it's going to go to this town of Tamar, and we're going to have talks and stuff. It's a small town, but it's got incredible LoRaWAN coverage all the way. So we're going to have talks. We're going to have lunch. We're going to do the whole thing. Um, Trains do take off. Yeah, this is a future train. This is a train to the moon. And then well, it'll leave in the morning, get back around I think 6 o'clock at night, and then oh, there's a bunch of sponsors, which means there's hardware on board, so you don't really need to bring a whole lot. You know, if you have a USB to whatever your laptop does adapter, probably bring those, but otherwise it's going to be pretty much covered.
Awesome. Awesome. And then you have the speaker list kind of out or anything you can just go over real quick?
Yeah, speaker list is up. So we're gonna I'll be talking a little bit. We have a handful of folks, so people know Daniel from Hotspotty. Nick is going to be there, so he'll be a big part of that story. We have Oren from Turpstack, who's the guy that is like the primary developer there. And so if you're interested in running like console, this is a really good opportunity to meet the guy face to face and really learn all of you can about Turpstack and running your own LNS. And then there's some folks from Europe that are deployers, people using LoRaWAN. So Antonio is somebody from the community that's been using LoRaWAN pretty extensively and is a professor. And then I've never actually pronounced his name out loud, but the guy from ShareSpot and Sensei, so somebody that's been deploying LoRaWAN all over Portugal and in Europe more broadly, as well as deploying sensors, will be there to sort of give us the rundown on how they've been leveraging Helium to make all of that happen.
Cool. I can't believe you're going to do a hackathon on a train. I've never
Pretty
heard that.
wild,
I'm
yeah.
so excited. Yeah, I am so excited for it. If you go to, Joey also made these really, really cool like train stickers. I don't want to ruin them, but they're like one of the coolest stickers I've seen in a while. So,
Yep.
for all
Yeah, you got to be
your
there.
work, Joey. Yeah, cool. Okay, well, thank you, Joey, and thank you, Nick. I think that's all our exciting things to come in the next few weeks. We're gonna now bring up, I was gonna bring up someone to talk about their analytics tool, but I don't see them in the call. So we'll wait a little bit and see if they get online. Dina Core, if you want to request to come up. We'll bring you up and you can start talking about HIP 72.
Hello, hello.
Awesome. How you doing?
Good. I
Good.
actually have a little slide presentation here today. Um, can I share a screen? Does that work?
Let's see. I thought you could. Let's see. Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong. Are we able to share a screen here? You might not. I don't see the button for it.
Unfortunately, that is the massive
No.
disadvantage of using Discord stages. There's no video at
Mm.
all.
Do you want to link it to us and we can put it in the chat and then people can follow along where they are?
Um,
You can just put it in the community call chat here.
yeah, you know what? Let me do that. Hold on. You know what? Let me do this after. I'll just kind of speak through it today. There's
Okay.
some cool visuals, but I guess we'll have to use our imagination.
Okay.
All right, cool. All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul Susi. I'm a software engineer from the Boston area. I've been a Helium community member for over 2 years, and I'm also the founder of Enlightened Systems. About a year ago, I was awarded a Helium Foundation grant to work on secure concentrators, and I've been busy doing exactly that, writing hardware, firmware, software. Today, I have a working prototype and some proof of concept code, some of which that's ready for a pull request. And excited to talk about the HIP 72 and the proposal today. So let's see. First and foremost, what is the goals of HIP 72? Well, the goals is all about increasing the trust in the Helium proof of coverage system. So this HIP is really about raising the bar of security to make it much more difficult for cheaters to cheat. And there's lots of other cool things here too. This HIP will enable DIY hotspots, and it will also enable a new type of location verification system based on time difference of arrival. And it opens the door to new future innovations like secure mappers or mobile IoT hotspots. So what's a secure concentrator? Well, let's start with what's a concentrator card? A concentrator card is the industry name for electronics inside your Helium hotspot that perform LoRaWAN wireless communication. They're a standardized mini PCI Express card, and they cost about $100. And my cool presentation here has like these nice pictures of like a concentrator card. So you just have to use your imagination. I also have some pictures of what it looks like when you open up a Helium hotspot, and you can see the concentrator card inside. So make sure to check out the presentation after. Okay, so we have these concentrator cards in our hotspots today. What's the problem? Well, the problem is that anyone can modify the software running on a hotspot and generate fake packets. And that's a big deal because our proof of coverage reward system, of course, is based on these packets. And there's no way to verify time and location of these transmissions. In fact, there's no way to verify that a packet was actually received by a hotspot at all. It could have just completely been faked. And of course, all this opens the doors for cheaters. So the solution is to build trusted hardware that digitally signs data as it's received by the radios. In this way, we can verify data is actually received by the hotspots. They're not fake, and we know the exact time and location of the transmissions received. This is actually, I have another slide here that kind of shows the difference between ordinary concentrator cards and secure concentrator cards. Again, the visuals are important here, but the main difference here is that we've added a secure microcontroller, that's a SMCU, that actually performs encryption in the hardware itself. And the SMCU is running firmware that cannot be modified. The firmware is open source and audited by Helium Foundation, or will be audited by Helium Foundation. The hardware itself is hardened against physical attack, which basically means that we're going to add some really hard curing epoxy and do some other things to make it very difficult to gain physical access to the chip. And we've also added a mandatory GPS receiver.
Hmm.
So, uh, so like I said before, this HIP is all about raising the bar for security. And I'm going to be honest. Is this the best solution? No, but it's definitely a lot better than what we have today. And I would argue that there's no such thing as perfect security. Um, there will always be someone with enough time, money, and specialized skills to break any level of security. And so what we're trying to do is raise the bar such that performing an attack becomes much more trouble than it's worth. And I think that we've struck the right balance between upgrading security with only a small incremental cost. Okay, so enough about security. Let's talk about how you get your hands, how you might get your hands on a secure concentrator card. So there's three ways. Um, First, you could buy a new hotspot with pre-installed secure concentrator card. You could upgrade your existing hotspot, or you could do a from scratch DIY build. But speaking about DIY, this HIP enables DIY hotspots. So this is a really big deal. This is one of the main reasons I got started working on this project, and I know that other DIYers out there will be really excited. But you might be thinking, why should I care? I'm not a hobbyist. I'm not going to build my own hardware. Well, what this really does is it opens up um, for new types of innovations like mobile IoT hotspots and secure mappers. And we expect this to be really good news for hotspot vendors as well, because now there's no need to go through the HIP-19 audit process. In fact, you could take an off-the-shelf gateway design, stick a secure concentrator in it, and it could be sold as a Helium hotspot. And of course, we expect this to ultimately drive down the price of new hotspots, which of course is a good thing because more hotspots is more coverage. So this HIP will also enable something called time difference of arrival. So this is a new location verification system, which is it's very cool, awesome tech. I'm very excited about this. Um, Secure concentrator design has the ability to produce ultra-fine timestamp of packet arrival time. Um, this allows several concentrators in the area to collaborate and pinpoint the exact location of any transmission. And so we could do several things with this. First of all, we could provide a new location service for ultra low power trackers. Um, and then, second of all, maybe someday this could be the foundation of a better proof of coverage algorithm.
Hmm.
So cool stuff there. Couple more slides go through here. So we've talked about secure concentrators, what they actually are. We talked about the benefits. Now let's talk about some of the mechanics of this HIP. The big point here is that secure concentrators are optional. There is no requirement to upgrade, and existing hotspots will be unaffected. But if you choose to upgrade, there's a 25% rewards boost for hotspots with secure concentrators. And we need this incentive. We need to incentivize adoption and offset the cost of additional hardware. So we think that this rewards boost is justified because secure concentrators create value for the network as a whole. And they do this by increasing trust, decreasing gaming, and providing the extra service that we just talked about. Upgrades. So upgrading your hotspot is actually pretty easy. You only need a screwdriver. But let's be honest, opening your hotspot might void your warranty. So this
Mhm.
option might not be for everyone. But I'm hopeful that manufacturers will support the upgrade effort, maybe with official upgrade or trade-in programs. Um, and then the last slide I have here is a picture. Again, use your imagination. It's a picture of the reference design I built with the help of the Helium Foundation grant. The design itself is open source, and we're going to be seeking FCC module certification and going to be making variants for all regions worldwide. And we hope that other manufacturers will be interested in producing secure concentrators as well. That's it. And I think we could do some questions.
Wow. I wrote down a lot of questions and then like touched something wrong and my notes disappeared. So let me take questions from the audience so far. We're getting them in this. So how does this secure concentrator prevent attenuator type gaming, ELI5?
Yeah. So first of all, secure concentrators um, will only really be useful against existing gaming. So I don't expect um, cheaters that are cheating now to upgrade secure concentrators. I think that's going to be more trouble than they're worth. So they're more likely just to stay with the, the hardware that they have today. Um, and so and so yeah. So making so this really doesn't become helpful until secure concentrators have reached some kind of critical mass, which means maybe 10% um, of the population have converted to secure concentrators. And at that point, um, the time difference of arrival thing starts kicking in, right? Because there's enough population of secure concentrators out there that can actually pinpoint location of transmissions. Um, and that's kind of where I'm doing a little bit of hand waving and saying this opens the door for a future, maybe better proof of coverage algorithm. I'm not going to speculate on the details of what that might be, but it's just they're more tools for people that want to create these algorithms to look at data, and now they have a more trusted data set.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
And you said, I'm going to follow up with that. So you said this does kind of have to come to a critical mass of is 10% like a definite number or is 10% kind of a guesstimate number right now? Do we
It's a
know
total,
what the
yeah,
yeah.
it's a guesstimate. Um,
Okay.
so you need For time difference of arrival, you need a minimum of 3 gateways to hear a single transmission to be able to, like, triangulate it. Um,
Mm,
so if you think about that, like, you could achieve that in densely populated cities with, like, only, like, 2 or 3 or 4%. Um, but in places that are less dense, you're gonna need more population. So I'm kind of guesstimating here when I say 10%. Maybe someone and maybe someone who's done like a study here could correct me if I'm wrong.
yeah, interesting. And then there was a follow-up from that same the first question too. I guess the attenuator type gaming can be prevented with the time-based arrival. I guess this could be used to infer the non-secure concentrators locations too, and that's right.
Yeah, I didn't quite catch the question.
I think it was just a follow-up, not a question, more so just like a
Okay.
confirmation. I'm
Yeah.
saying, yeah. Cool. And then let's move to a different question. So Ed's asking, what's a conversion price estimates? Are all hotspots upgradable? You did say if you have a warranty and you open the thing, you might not count in this category. Can
Yeah.
validators encrypt a beacon transmission and gossip to the witness a special key to decrypt? So two kind of questions there. Price are all hotspots upgradable? And then I can reread the other one too.
Yeah. So price. So price is going to be a little bit more expensive than your average hotspot, and that's just because there's some more technology in there. Um, but I am going to be working with manufacturers to try to get that price down. Um, the second part of the question, or what was the
Are all hotspots upgradable?
Hotspot
So,
upgradable, yes. So
yeah.
most hotspots are upgradable. If your hotspot has a mini PCIe, it very likely can be upgraded. Now
Mm.
there are some hotspots out there that don't have this design, and there's there's nowhere to upgrade.
How do you know if yours is the design that doesn't
Yeah, maybe I could put together a list,
Okay.
or you could ask your vendor. But I think it's a fairly small portion of the population that cannot be upgraded. Most can.
Most. Okay. And then can validators encrypt a beacon transmission and gossip to the witness a special key to decrypt?
Validators
I'm not totally
encrypt.
sure.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't quite.
Ed,
I'm gonna
maybe
have
you
to
can
like
give,
probably take that one offline or get some more clarification
yeah,
there.
yeah, Ed, maybe you can add that or to call later. Um, let's go down the questions. How much is this going to cost to upgrade the concentrators? I know we've said more. Do we have a price or do we not know that until it kind of goes into production? I have a setup which I can't reach without paying a climber. Okay, so yeah, for people that have hotspots that are like in difficult locations, like, yeah, how much is the cost? Is it worth it, I guess?
Yeah, I'm right. It's all about that cost to benefit ratio for you personally, right? The good news here is that of course it's not required. Um, but if you do run the numbers for you yourself personally, then then you're probably going to be motivated by the extra 25% rewards boost.
Okay, cool. Okay, I don't see any other questions now. I would love to see those graphics. I'm such a visual person. I would love to see all these visuals you've been talking.
Yeah,
Can
totally.
you can you actually go into a bit more this like point of time difference? Like, can
The
you
time
explain that a
time
bit?
difference of arrival. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, time
Um,
difference of arrival. Like what? Like I like this idea that it's a future better POC. I like sort of conceptually understand that, but like
sure.
yeah, what like can you explain that a bit more, I guess?
Definitely. So it's super cool. um, basically, the secure concentrator design uses the SX1303, which is a special chip. It's a LoRaWAN concentrator chip that has the ability to um, timestamp the arrival time of every packet, and it has like nanosecond precision. And so if you couple that with a GPS, uh, GPS basically synchronizes time across the world, right? So that basically means that if you have three hotspots in different locations and they all hear a single transmission, they're all adding timestamps, and then the time that the packet was received, and you compare that with the time it was received with the other hotspots, and that time difference actually tells you about something about how far away um, the transmission was, because
Mm,
it the propagates at roughly the speed of light, right? So you can actually do some math, and there's already plenty of code out there that does this math for you, and figure out, and it's like a form of doing triangulation. So I hope
mm,
that was is clear enough, but
yeah, no, it
very
definitely
cool
is.
and very hard to fake as well, right? Because you need, um, yeah, I mean, I don't even know how you would fake it, but very cool stuff.
And can you just go back to like why is it that your secure concentrator makes this capability available? Like, is it because you're adding the GPS component into it, or like what is it about the secure concentrator that allows us to do this?
Yeah, excellent question. So this actually is technology that exists before. And in fact, you might already have a hotspot that is able to do this, but it's a feature that's not turned on today. And the reason the secure concentrators can do it is because, first of all secure concentrators have a mandatory onboard GPS, and that GPS metadata is signed with every incoming packet transmission. So that means you can actually trust the value or the time that the GPS is telling you, along with the data it just received.
Mm,
Whereas, in today's world, you can't really trust any of that data.
mm,
And also, well, I wouldn't say most, but there's a lot of hotspot designs out there that just don't have a GPS at all because it's an extra component. And, if there's no need for it, manufacturers are going to skip it because it adds extra cost.
mm. Okay, so with the secure concentrator, we can trust the data, and that's why we can do this better.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Okay, well, I brought Lewis up. So Lewis wrote HIP 22, which was another DIY secure concentrator. And I brought Lewis up because I would love to just give kind of the moment to say what he thinks of HIP 22, or sorry, HIP 72. I like that we're both in twos. HIP 72, how it's different than HIP 22, and what the benefits or just differences altogether kind of are that you see, Lewis. So welcome, Lewis, and would love to get that
Hey,
question. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think HIP 72 pretty much is an extension and goes into detail, like where HIP 22 is kind of just launched the idea, and I don't think we ended up voting on it because we wanted to spend more time kind of developing the actual underlying tech, which Danacor has done. So, what I think is really nice about HIP 72 that it's specifically done is it's kind of clarified what the incentive is with the 25% reward boost, and it also does that GPS requirement, whereas it was just suggested in HIP 22. And I think like in the end with the GPS and the security level of this chip, it kind of easily justifies that 25% bump that the operators of these chips would earn, because those two features end up, I think, adding a lot of value to proof of coverage, like anti-gaming measures, and then also that fine timestamping is also a feature of the network. People who are using devices on the network will get value from knowing that there's a accurate GPS timestamp from the hotspots being reported. So yeah, in general, I think it's just done a really good job of fleshing out the idea and finalizing it, and I'm excited to see it in action.
Awesome. Paul, anything you want to ask Lewis, or anything else you want to say? We do have some other questions, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if we have some more questions, thank you, Lewis, for your endorsement.
We do have one more from Ed. I see that there's some other stuff here that might answer this. Can GeoDNet data be used to also add confirmation to GPS data, or in lieu of GPS?
Geode. So I don't know. So are we referring to that other crypto project, GeoNet? Um, I don't know much about that. Is that what the question was about?
Let's see it. Ed, you wanna? Yes, Ed says yes. That's the other crypto project.
Yeah. So I just learned about this yesterday because someone pointed out to it. So it seems like this secure concentrator design might be useful for them as well. Um, so like I said, I need to learn more about it, and maybe like get, if someone can introduce me from someone in that project, I would love to get to talking.
Ed, do you know anyone? I'll wait for Ed's response in the chat. Anyone, if you have a connection, can connect Paul, please reach out. Well, cool. Paul, can you definitely link your presentation in the chat or link it in the community call notes so that we can go and view it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do that ASAP.
Nice. Okay, well, thank you so much. This was great. If you do have any more questions, we still have the HIP 7D 2-channel open. I think what I'm going to do next is kind of take a pulse check on just, any other questions you have. This is kind of ready to go to a vote, but it seems like it should be. So I would love to move this forward into a vote, and I think we can hopefully get that up. If not next week, then maybe the week after. So yeah, and then please ask any more questions you have in the HIP 72 channel. Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks so
Thanks,
much.
Louis. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
And then I was looking for Slavendam to see if they have the analytics tool they want to present. If not, we will just go into other updates and questions. I don't see them. We'll get them on the next call. They wanted to present a tool they had built for the community. So, okay, let me give you my update. We had the HIP triage call this morning. A lot of you were on that. That went great. Again, that is just sort of like HIP editing in public. You can really just watch me go through HIPs, and you can, I ask that everyone else just kind of comments and goes through HIPs at the same time. We went through and decided we could actually close a lot of HIPs, and we're just getting some kind of final confirmations of that. So you'll see the improvement proposal channels be cleaned up. And again, if you go into the HIPs too, it should just be easier to navigate what's open, what's not. Anything stale is kind of removed. If you want to make a HIP and you don't know how to, or you don't know where to start, please reach out to me or Jamie or any of the other HIP authors and get your HIPs kind of going. We want more people to be writing HIPs. So please make sure that you're reading HIPs and participating there. If you don't know how to use Discord either, or not Discord, sorry, GitHub either, it is a bit confusing, but I am happy to show you as well. We can, fork the code and get your HIP up there into a pull request. So yeah, reach out if you have any questions like that. We also did earlier this month, the first governance call. This was kind of informal. It's not an official committee at this time, but this is a once a month governance call. I've been facilitating this, and I'll continue to facilitate this unless anyone else would love to. I would love to have Ed facilitate these. Ed's a master Scrum Master. Does such a great job. So you can see the results of that first governance call in this forum post called Results of Governance Meeting Retrospective. And that's what we did. We did a retrospective with everyone that attended. We got some really good feedback about kind of, what's been going well, what's not, where do we want to go, and what we also kind of have to accept, all towards a vision of like, let's make some change around governance. So you can read the summary here. I have sort of like I've really analyzed this, and I've brought out kind of 5 points that I really saw and just kind of high level themes. So please go and read that. This, because it's a forum post, I'm also hoping that you continue to engage with it. So, put some more ideas here and add some feedback. I'd like to do these going forward too, so that we kind of have a point in time in our feedback, and that we can really track, kind of just track the change we're making here. So the next governance call is going to be, I believe, looking at our events calendar now. It will be the Wednesday, November 9th at 10 a.m. Mountain, so that's noon Eastern. And we have the agenda that we're still building for that. The doc is in there, though. If you'd like to add anything to that meeting, please go ahead and add it. Of course, we do the community call once a month at the last Wednesday of the month. And we'll do this at the end of November again, I guess right around the time of Thanksgiving. So for the US, for our US folks. And what else? Just on another note from me, I'm writing some proposals about changes to the HIP process and kind of some changes to governance. So that's just something I'm working on. And I will post that to the community when it's kind of in a better than draft form so that you can see and kind of add. And then we do have this new category called governance right above HIPs on the Discord. So please go in there. We're going to put governance announcements, and we're going to start using that more for like HIPs are live, votes are live, that kind of thing. Talk about these, talk about things that are going on with governance and other updates. We have a general chat there, and then we have so that'll just be for like longer form things. If you have ideas for HIPs, please post them there. If you have other concerns that you want to bring up that you're like, oh, I think this might need to be a HIP, bring that up there. That's supposed to be, our kind of our forum place. So please start to use that. I don't think I have anything else though. Jamie or Scott, I still see you on. Anything else or anyone that has a question, please feel free to request to speak and we'll bring you up to kind of ask a question, or if you have a really quick update you want to share in the last 8 minutes, we can do that too.
I have no further questions or comments and just want to thank you for your amazing hosting.
Cool.
Seriously, I was
Thank
just,
you.
echoing that. No, just really excited to see how this governance group is going to continue to evolve. I'm glad we're getting more folks engaged in those decisions. Valerie, excellent work on the hosting, and thank you for your service. And thank you to everybody else for your participation, as always.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, cool. If we don't have anything, I'm checking the community chat one more time. If we don't have anything, then I guess we can end early. And happy Halloween if you're going to go out and celebrate Halloween in the US. Is there Halloween in other countries? I actually don't know.
Yep.
There is? Cool.
I only have experience with Halloween in the UK, but I don't know to what degree how big it is. I have not spent a Halloween elsewhere in years, so I can't even think.
Is it the same day, the 31st?
Yeah, there's definitely how. Yeah, I mean, again, this is only my. I'm sure there's somebody's. Yeah, there we go. AP is chiming in there. Yeah, I would
Halloween in
imagine.
England. It has Hex and Oct. That's the same day though. Okay.
I mean, I grew up near Salem, Mass, so as far as I'm concerned, I have a high bar for a Halloween celebration.
Nice. Yeah, Scott, I don't know if you heard earlier, but Jamie is going to dress his entire family as It's Always Sunny characters, and he's going to go as Frank. So,
That's perfect. No, I missed that earlier. No, we're doing. We're not ready for Always Sunny yet. We're doing the whole Adams family over here. So
That's good. That's a little more appropriate.
Well, for like for the tiny one especially, it's a little bit better for the ages that they're at right now.
cute. Cool. Okay, well, thanks everyone. Have a good rest of your day. Happy Halloween, and we'll see you on other calls.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Take care. See y'all.
Bye.